Welcome to Hit Chat Chit Chat. Today, I do not have a special guest, but a special co-host and someone that we're going to be seeing a lot more frequently. We have JP Fasone. JP, how you doing, dog?
Good, dude. Excited for this. Excited to get it going. A
Dude,
weekly hitting talk.
I'm so excited. I'm so
Um,
excited. We've been chatting about doing this since the podcast that you came on, man. The one that
yeah,
had
the
the
first time we did it.
the horrible audio one, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, Now we are missing for this to be a group discussion. We're missing some people in the group, but that's what happens when you're working in this kind of field. Your schedules are all over, man. It's absolutely crazy. No nine to
that's
five
how it
here.
goes. Nope. Nope. Always
uh,
something comes up.
But I kind of want today just go over a little bit of an intro, kind of a little bit about me, a little bit about JP. For the people at home, you guys can see Strider. Strider's right here, just Jade chilling. We always got a Strider cam going. And then whenever guys can join up and shit like that, they'll kind of run through their little intros and stuff like that. But JP, if you don't mind, kind of run a little bit about yourself, sir, and we'll go from there.
Okay. My name's JP Fasone, and we are currently working at Driveline Baseball as a hitting trainer. I was previously at Lamar Community College and coached at the University of Dallas before that. Played at the University of Dallas for 3 years and then a year at Whittier College. Really been focused on hitting the last couple of years, but coach outfielders, infielders, catchers, a little bit of everything.
Fuck yeah, dude. How's the driveline grind been?
Good. Starting to fill up again with the pro guys coming in, so things are starting to get busy, but really looking forward to working with some pretty high caliber athletes, which is exciting. A little change of pace, and of course the college guys kind of trickling in for the winter off season is a lot of fun to see them again and catch up on how the fall went.
Fuck yeah. Right now we got some people in the chat saying that they hate the Astros. Don't blame them. I understand. I understand.
Understandable.
And yeah, Strider can definitely get an intro. This is Strider. He is a 4-year-old German Shepherd that kind of just lives and breathes at the facility. He's a cage dweller, born in the cage, raised in the cage. Gonna always be in the cage, and so got him right here, 24/7 on lock. How you doing, babies? Yeah. Alrighty. Hell yeah. And then for everyone at home, for anyone that doesn't know who I am, I am the owner of RBI Baseball. I'm the host of all these podcasts. This is the second podcast that RBI Baseball does. Graduated at Garden City Community College. Graduated from Brighton High School in 2015. Went to Northern Colorado for a quick cup of coffee. Transferred to Garden State Community College. Graduated from there in 2017. Went on to Northeastern State University in Oklahoma, a little Division II in the MIAA out there. Finished up there in 2018. Moved back to Colorado. Joined up with Bardo's Diamond Sports. If anyone's familiar with there, I know JP is. Was working at Bardo's. Started coaching at USA Prime, organization based out of Dallas. Started coaching them. And then there are people going off on each other in the chat. Sorry. They're just roasting each other. Appreciate you, Luke. Thank you, my guy. So graduated, got done with Bardo's, went on to Chaos Clubhouse in Littleton. Came over to Fast Baseball Performance in Denver, and then also was at Hit Dingers in Arvada. Now I'm working on kind of just my own solo, partnered up with an organization called Natural Baseball Association based out of Kansas. That's now expanding out to Colorado. We just made that announcement a little bit ago, a couple days. And so Really excited to get this going. Like I said, we got a couple other people that are normally supposed to be on here that are not on here today. So once we get to them, we'll let them kind of go through and do their explanation or their little intros. But for right now, for today, while we do have the baseball game on right now, and I'm going to pull this up as JP as you're chatting so we can have like a little, live watch of it. But if you wouldn't mind kind of talking about just some drills or just some tools, just anything you kind of did this past week that you kind of stuck out to you, that you noticed, question that a player of yours had, or just anything that you got for the guys.
Yeah. I mean, man, so much stuff comes up throughout the week. I think the big thing uh, I kind of find myself going through trends. Well, I'll kind of get an idea in my head and start kind of seeing it everywhere. And one of the kind of the ideas I've been thinking about a lot is just like, pretty typical, like nothing groundbreaking, but like holding it, like how do you hold space and like between like yourself, your hips and kind of the plate and all the stuff we talked about this week with a lot of my athletes is like we got to be able to hold that space through our load, and then maintaining posture is just really all about just holding that space through the swing phase. And I think a lot of the issues that are cropping up, especially with athletes that are more athletic, typically higher performing athletes, a lot of the times they can get away with uh, getting rid of that space, removing that space either through like early hip extension, poor load phase, kind of rotating to their front side a little bit too quickly, and then get away with it. And kind of as they move up in levels, whether it's from high school to college or college to pro ball, that kind of gets exposed a little bit as the pitching gets better. So kind of building that space and getting that concept through their head of just like we can swing fast, but I got to swing fast and still hold that space. We got a guy right now who's got a wrist injury, and he's typically very flat, very rotational, and uses his hands to manipulate the barrel really late into contact, and he kind of comes out of his posture a little bit. And with that wrist injury, he hasn't been able to manipulate the barrel as much, and so struggled a little bit. And talking with him about just like, hey, like it's more important than ever now because you've lost that ability to compensate. That you have to hold your posture, you have to maintain the space there that you create in your load phase as you start to swing. Otherwise, your contact qualities can go down pretty significantly. So I think every athlete tends to compensate at some point for whatever. It doesn't matter whether you're in the bigs or playing youth ball. It's everybody has compensations. I think some guys are just better at compensating than others. So when something like that happens, whether it's an injury or something like that, they kind of their compensations get kind of exposed a little bit, and so it's good for them to go through that and work with it. But the idea of like holding, creating and maintaining space has been a big one this week.
Sorry, just getting I could hear you the whole time. Absolutely loved it. I know the people back home loved it too. Finally got the game thrown up. They're replaying Freddie's deal. I like that idea and that topic that you brought up. That a lot of the time you're not going to see that players need to make an adjustment until they're kind of forced. So the fact that this player, you said he did a really good job of manipulating the barrel when he didn't have a wrist injury, and so for him to be able just to go through no issues or whatever it is, and then for all of a sudden a wrist injury to happen, or let's say a JV player gets called up to varsity in high school, let's say any type of increase of difficulty, pitch pressure, environmental pressure at all, you're going to see a player that needs to fight or flight. And when they've been doing their process that is not a continuous good process, like you mentioned, manipulating the barrel, and I do want to kind of come back around to that. Did you get that from Jordan Stauffer?
No, I didn't.
I want to send you this link. He posted a video maybe a year and a half ago maybe 2 years ago, talking about the difference of barrel manipulation versus barrel control. And the difference that kind of is also, I mean, verbiage. Obviously, verbiage is going to play like a major role into like what are you calling manipulation and control and whatever. But
As it always says.
he had a really good video comparison video. I'll send that over to you. Until players are like forced to be put into that position, like you said, the really good competitive players are going to be able to be successful until they're not, and unless they're given alternatives or understandings of why they're not doing well. Like I'm sure if you went, that player was like, "Hey, what am I doing wrong?" and you're like, "Honestly, no clue." Like that kid is going to lose his mind, bro. And I mean, rightfully so. But for the fact that, I mean, it's like, hey, like, I'm assuming you've probably told him about the wrist manipulation, but it hasn't been something that has been a concern until now. And so now it's like, hey, probably remember when I told you, I'm assuming you guys probably told him in his assessment, probably like, hey, now it's coming to fruition. When I said we probably might need to work on this, like we are now. You're not able to just get by with that. So what have you guys been doing to get him comfortable with this wrist injury and still be comfortable and going through it?
I think the reason he's kind of training through it right now is partly just because his insurance only works at home and can't go home right away type of thing. So he's kind of working through it, but he's also got like a pro day coming up at his school. So he wants to obviously compete in that, and he's healthy enough at least to do that. He just got to kind of figure out how do I still compete with that limitation. So for a while it was just a lot of like one-handed swings, which really exposes kind of loss of posture and not holding space and things like that. So it was a lot of one-handed swings, short machine work, hitting smash balls, which are like light flight balls that we have, things like that. And a lot of it's just kind of like, hey, like we're gonna put you in the situation, and you're gonna take these swings, and like we're just gonna have to figure it out, because the injury has taken away the compensation that you're used to using. So you're gonna have to come up with a new way to do it, and sometimes it's he peels really bad and like just loses posture and throws everything off and hits these hooked balls that are 100 miles an hour, which is sick, but they're probably foul if we're not hitting on hit tracks. So then it's kind of like, hey, like that, like yeah, you hit that well, but probably not where we want it. So let's think about just like trying to hit it in the other gap. Let's try and hit a backside ground ball, and start there, and then let's try and elevate it to the gap, and then sure enough, it's like, oh, I caught that one a little out in front, and you hit it pull side gap, and for a distance PR or something. And so that's been kind of the process with him. Really smart guy, been training here for a long time. Honestly, teaches me a lot more than I probably teach him, but he's one of those guys that you can definitely put him in the environment and let him go to work, and he comes up with really good questions. He comes up with really good movement solutions. So for him, it's pretty easy to train. He's pretty self-sufficient.
That's nice. That makes it easy. That makes it
Yeah,
That makes
for
it
sure.
easier, I guess.
Yeah.
For me, something that I've kind of seen this past week, I've added kind of a new drill a little bit that I've been working with. Kind of put an emphasis a little bit on shoulder plan and rotation. I've been trying to get how to show my guys early rotation, and a big number that I really use in blast motion for myself is rotational acceleration. I'm not sure how much you guys kind of put into your stuff, but for me, that's honestly, I like it more than I like bat speed. I like it more than I like hand speed, but anything speed or acceleration power wise, I like rotational acceleration personally. And so trying to get guys to be able to feel and understand what that means, I kind of put into a little bit of a focus this past week. And so we added a new drill where I have guys go through. Their lower half goes completely all the way through. So we have hips are all the way turned. The back sides, I don't know what verbiage everyone uses. I like back foot comes up. We already have the hip turned, foot reset like plants, but we're keeping the shoulders closed. And then I'm having guys grab a PVC, go out super wide, try and maintain that hip hinge, that body posture, that space that we initially first started talking about. And we start with a high pitch, the one with the least amount of hip hinge, body bend, side tilt, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? So I have them go through, and they do 3 of these in a row where they're going to go through, and it's actually just a slow motion where they're turning, and their goal is to be able to take their hand, swipe the ball off of the tee. I have a tee set up for a high pitch, and then they rotate as far as they can. They come back. Slowly, they put it back on the tee. We come back. You do that 3 times forward and back for a high pitch reset. And we go through to the same thing for a middle pitch. And we go through same thing for a low pitch. And I've had a lot of guys kind of tell me that feel or that idea of seeing, because I mean there's a lot of people that I'm sure that you've heard has said, the long swing, you can't have a long swing or whatever. So you have so many kids that are just like scared or whatever right now. They're just going little knob pushes to the ball. And so the idea and then being able to see what it actually means to rotate and get acceleration early behind, for a lot of my guys, they said that they liked that a lot.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that like under rotation is a huge, like one of the biggest flaws we see is just dudes just wanting to just like push the hands through, stay inside the ball. And I always say, like, I had a guy this week that did an assessment. He kind of had it. He was a little bit better at it, but had a similar problem. And I was like, dude, that's a sweet move to have, like in the bank, in the toolbox. Like, you get blown up with a fastball, and it's like, well, I gotta go. Like, I have to go now. I'm not gonna get there. So that's awesome. Like 2 strikes, being able to throw the hands, it's sick. But that can't be our best swing. That can't be our A swing. We're on time. We're ready to go, and that's what's gonna happen. But yeah, that's a really good idea of like just matching that shoulder plane up to that drill. I like that.
That's gonna segue. Just for the viewers at home and for the people that are fighting in Twitch right now on the chat, by the way, I absolutely love it. Appreciate the fuck out of you guys. Me and JP might talk for hours, so anyone watching, just fucking buckle up, get some popcorn. Right now is going to be probably your best bathroom break while I go grab some tools.
Yes.
Did I show you my rope bat last time?
Yeah, you did.
So
I think after we got on the call or off the call, yeah.
Oh, was it? Beauty. This also has been another good one for a lot of my guys to get that feel. Because if you don't have that early rotation and you do try and shoot that knob, you're going to lose it. And so a lot of my guys, and it's honestly so immediate feedback because you hit yourself with the barrel.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah. So that's been a fun one that I've kind of liked. And then also, did you ever use any of the hit jackets? The little slide-on extra bat weights. I've got them over in my corner. But they're literally maybe that big.
They kind of sit in the middle of the bat.
Yep, and they slide on, slide off. Don't work with DeMarini 2 pieces because DeMarini, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with the little tiny-ass handle, and then you jump out. But yeah, man. I literally had a kid in today, bro. So a little freshman, right? A little freshman that I've been working with. This is lesson maybe 6. We've just been really working on. He has a 78 bat speed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But that was his barrel manipulation that allowed him to get away with everything. And so
late life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so very handsy. Everything is out in front. Everything is out here. And so it's been tough kind of getting him to trust because, with my setup, I have blast motion right here. And every single swing he looks up and he doesn't see, 78 in his head. He's like,
Right.
what's going on? Like, why do I not want to be at 78? And I'm like, well, you're getting to 78 because it's not good stuff.
Right.
Let's get to
Doing
78
it
with like
poorly.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so finally today, dude, we had him using the 16 ounce bat weight, and I was doing it. I call it run the weight, where
Mhm.
they take like the 9 ounce, hit until you go down twice. The moment that your number drops twice, we move up to the another weight. He started with a bat speed of 50. So that was like our base, like, hey, keep climbing. Got our first negative, I think at like 57, 58, somewhere around there, and then was able to climb all the way up to 72.
Funny.
After that,
And I'm sure,
go ahead.
and I'm sure he was like, oh, I don't feel like I'm swinging that hard. Like, yeah, it's
So
point.
literally right before we went 9 ounce, 12 ounce, and we were going to go 16. Literally right before we go 16, he had two that were just not good. And I looked at him and I was like, what's going on, dude? Like, what's up? And keep in mind, freshmen, I feel like the moment that they're able to self-reflect and actually like give themselves the feedback that they need, I feel like that is a huge step in their life. I really do.
Yeah, for sure.
And for the first time, this kid looks at me and goes, I got lazy. I'll fix it. We haven't had that kind of accountability from him yet. And
Yeah.
the next one is when we got the 50 to 72. And it was like his eyes opened up and kind of like, what? And I was like, did you think you had that in you? Because we got the one right before that. He had, when we were doing the blue weight, when I asked him, like, hey, like, what's going on? He said he was lazy. He got up to 46 miles an hour with the blue weight. And I was like, and he goes, I don't think I'll be able to beat this next one or something like that. And I was like, what?
Okay.
And then we talked about it, dude, and the light bulb of it going off, it was fucking incredible. And he's a guy that, like I said, we've been trying to get the turn versus the shoot the hands, and today was kind of that first day. It was pretty fucking cool to be a part of.
Yeah, those are the best moments when it's just like when it kind of clicks for one of them, like you said, like they can kind of give themselves feedback, and B, like when they're like, oh, I did not think I was capable of doing that. You're like, yeah, well, you're not that smart, so.
Good thing we're not always reliant on you thinking.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good thing I don't base what we do on what you think you're capable of.
Bro, that's my absolute favorite is when like kids are going through and they're just like, oh, like I never thought of that, or I haven't tried that, or blah blah blah. And it's like, I figured because you're here seeing me,
Yeah,
and
you're here.
you've never done
Right.
it. And
You didn't thought about it before, so I assumed yeah.
my favorite is when so another kid that I had, and just like working backwards of just actually asking questions without having a predetermined answer. Any instructors out there, start asking your players questions without any predetermined answer in your own head. And the stuff that you're going to get is going to be remarkable. Like I literally had one kid, so we do these things called feel goods where their literal only job is to try and swing the bat hard. If they hit it well or they feel like they hit it well with the process, they bat flip. Those are the only two rules.
Okay.
I had this kid going, I was like, hey, like that was a pretty good hit. And he was like, yeah. I was like, so what was wrong with that? Oh, well, I lost balance a little bit. I was like, okay. All right. Well, do you remember what feel goods are supposed to be? And they're like, yeah, anything that feels good. I was like, oh, okay, all right. So same page. Next one hits one really well and didn't have the Rapsodo on. Hand up, my bad. But it was one of those like they think it's a pop fly, but it actually is like struck pretty well. Ball that makes it back.
Good line drive.
Exactly. And doesn't pimp it. And I was just like, hey, what's going on with that one? And they're like, oh, that was too high. And I was like, oh, so we're adding more criteria again, huh? And he just kind of like looked at me. I was like, what are the only rules?
What are the only rules?
He's like, if it feels good. I was like, okay. All right. Okay. And then I have the launch angle. I have a 15 launch angle and a 35 in my cage woven in with rope. And he hit one literally at the 35 line. Like, I liked it. I like it a lot. And I looked at him and I was like, feel good? And he's just like, and I could just see the gears in his head of like being scared to like be successful. And he goes, well, it hit the like line. And I was like, I'm going to murder you.
What are the only two rules?
Bro, it's mind-boggling. It's not even like we're going like 3 weeks in between each of those questions. It's literally like 3 pitches and then the one like it's absolutely ridiculous. But is there anything that you kind of got going on, something that you want to bring up from this past week? With this being the first one, we got 5 people that have tuned in so far to us. For everyone watching back home, thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are enjoying, I'm not sure why they're, I'm assuming they're here, to watch us, but they also might be here just for the comments. That I'm telling you, dude, you're going to need to go back and check the comment section.
I'm going to, yeah.
It's an absolute all-out wars. I've got a couple of my players in it that are just absolutely getting after it, and I love every second of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the point you brought up about like, hey, like you got to start with questions. It's kind of like, I kind of like to think of like our job as hitting coaches more like physicians, doctors, and like diagnosing problems and understanding like, hey, like the goal isn't to like do whatever I think is necessary. The goal is to like make the patient as healthy as possible, in whatever form that looks like. So I think the part, asking those questions is huge because it's like, okay, where are you at? Like, what is your understanding of hitting? What's your understanding of what a good hit looks like? What's your understanding of what a bad hit looks like? If we're working on something, like I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. Like, you might miss hit a ball, and I go, hey, like, what happened there? Like, why did that ball do what it did? Especially with those guys that pull, it's like, they hit a slice ball to the right side. I'm like, okay, why do you think that happened? What's going on there? And sometimes they either A, don't know, or B, they'll give me a really good answer and go like, oh, the bat's like moving across this way, or things like that. And then, we might get one where they miss hit it another time. And I go, okay, what happened there? And they'll tell me, it's like, okay, was that a good miss or a bad miss? Like, did you overcorrect and kind of get too long and wrap it? And that's why the ball kind of hooked foul, or, was that not something we want? And it's those kind of things where they can start feeling out, okay, this is my understanding of what I'm trying to do, and this is kind of where I need to correct, and how they can really use the ball flight as kind of their feedback as well, and kind of get to that point of like, oh, like I can train myself now a little bit better than they could. And also the other thing is like everybody's brain's going to work differently, and so like whatever terminology they come up with and spit back at you is awesome. It's like I never get too attached to terms and stuff. We obviously like to use like some standard stuff like side bend and attacking and those kind of things. But when they talk about a feel or something, like I'll have guys talk about where like, oh, I feel like my back hip is like sliding forward or like pushing forward. And like I know, like I've watched the video, I've looked at the data, like I know that's not happening. But if that's how they feel it, like the next time they're struggling to get that rotation, it's like, okay, hey, like throw that back hip, like get that hip going forward. Like we gotta push into that front side more. Like that's fine. That doesn't bother me at all. And so it's things like that that the more questions you ask, I think the better you can get in the athlete's head of what their understanding is, and use that kind of to your advantage and their advantage, when you're training. Um, so, yeah, I think I kind of got off topic. Didn't really answer the question yet. Other the other things that we're working on this past week. So yeah, a lot of online training stuff, but the big thing is throwing, position player throwing starting to ramp back up again now that we got more athletes in gym, and a lot of those conversations revolve around workload, and just workload management. And I think workload management gets complicated, when it doesn't really need to. I was working with an athlete, on Saturday, and she was supposed to throw a hybrid A, so a pretty high intent, like 90% effort day, and she isn't sleeping well all week, hasn't recovered well, and went to practice with her college that day, and practiced for like 3 hours, took a bunch of swings, fielded ground balls and everything like that. Comes in, it's like, yeah, it's supposed to be a hybrid A, but like my effort level's down. It's like probably closer to like a hybrid B, like 60-70%. I'm like, good. Like, good. It should be. Like, you're not recovered. Like, you're not ready to throw a hybrid A. Like, it's okay. That's fine. Like, just listen to your body and go for it. I think the position player throwing stuff comes up a lot, now that we got more athletes in gym.
That's awesome. For players to be able to kind of self-recognize, self-diagnose, I honestly think that's the biggest thing. And I think it ties into that self-awareness of just like, oh, like I probably shouldn't go 80% when I, need to do 60, because, if you overdo that today, then your recovery is even more off schedule for tomorrow, and even more off schedule. And now everything after that is going to be brutal, which kind of brings into, I saw this a long time ago, and it actually might have been from the Driveline OG podcast back in the day, or it might have been from the Patrick Jones podcast. I can't remember which one. Fucking so many damn podcasts out there, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
they had a leaderboard for sleep and recovery.
Oh, I like that.
They had a Whoop,
Sick.
Apple, Fitbit. What you doing, fellas? Give him the. Oh, you're gonna show the little turn. Show them the good side. Oh yeah, well done, well done. And they had a leaderboard for it, man. And I loved it. Like I posted a tweet not too long ago. Like, if I could have a leaderboard for recovery and sleep, lifting, and then also like hitting or whatever. I mean, obviously we know what I'm thinking of, but if I could have like those kind of three leaderboards, they're separate, but they're not.
All right. Exactly. Exactly.
I think the things that people would see the correlation, like just alone, my leaderboard I have right here, I attach no numerical value to launch angle, but what's weird is all the people that have between like a 13 and a 20 average launch angle are all in the higher, because they have better distance. Generally, exit velocity doesn't directly tie into it, but if you do have a good exit velocity, if your launch angle is not at a point where you can, use that exit velocity, you're just going to be beating worms into the dirt the whole freaking time.
Right.
And it's one of those where it's related, but it's not. And I would really like to put those up and just see like, oh, he's at the top, or he or she at the top for lifting. Oh, he or she at the top for recovery. Oh, he or she at the top for,
But it's also just like you said, it all ties together. It's just like a lot of the things our physical therapist Terry has been posting about recently and talking about. It's just like, it doesn't matter how well you train or like what you do. Like, you can do the perfect program. You can lift the perfect lifts. You could be going all out. But if you're eating like shit and sleeping 3 hours a night, like, you're going to suck. Like, you're just going to be a bad athlete. Nobody cares. It's the same thing when guys come in. It's like, oh, my bat speed's down, or like, oh, my exit velocity's down. I'm like, okay, well, like, what's the week been like? What have you been eating? What have you oh, I went out with my girlfriend and like I had a really, big midterm test and haven't slept well and like got to eat before I trained today. I'm like, okay, well, there's your answer. Like, there's nothing to do with your swing. Like, you're just not you're tired. You're fatigued. Like, okay, that's what we got today. We got a fatigue. Like, maybe take a couple rounds off. Like, don't take tomorrow off. Like, you don't have to keep pushing yourself to the point that you're just working at fatigue all the time. It's just not useful.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's just like you're just wasting your time at that point.
Let's see here. Give me if you had to right now, let's say you only have $300. You have to come up with your like dreams, or not dream, but like setup of a hitting like training development. This is like you're with your let's say, I don't know, I'm trying to think in driveline term, but let's say it was me. Let's say I'm with my team, right? And we go out to Texas and we want to kind of do a little development day or something. I only got $300 in my pocket and we flew Southwest, so we lost all of our fucking luggage. Like, what am I?
What are we buying?
What are we getting? What are we buying for the weekend? Like, what are we putting major value into?
It's a good question. $300. In season, I'm probably buying hitting plyos.
Minis or regulars?
That's a good goal. Minis are on sale right now, so we save some money there.
You're welcome for the plug. Driveline, hire me.
Yeah. So definitely getting some hitting plyos. Probably getting honestly, probably spending the rest of the money on blast sensors. Just because I think blast sensors are so underutilized. I think it's a little intimidating for new coaches to walk in and you get all these numbers, but it's relatively cheap than buying a biomechanics setup like K-Vest or 4D or whatever, and get a lot of the biomechanical data that you could get with that at a way cheaper price. And so probably blast sensors and plyos, and we're just ripping plyos all day. We're just gonna flush the hell out of baseballs and see what happens.
Get the fuck out of here, because that's kind of I think I've thought about this. I've actually had to deal with these actual situations.
I was gonna say, I'm sure you've actually had to do this at some point.
But I'll tell you what I'm doing. Getting a blast motion sensor. We're going for the $150 price. We're going for the free monthly subscription though. So we're not signing up for the year. So I'm down out. I only have $150 left. But what I'm going to do is, instead of getting multiple, to be able to differ between each of my players, I'm going to change. You get 10 total bats per sensor. So I'm going to do 10 of them. Fuck the POs, and I'm sorry, we're going with our top 8, and then the other 2 are going to figure it out. From there, we're getting some plyos. Definitely getting some plyos. Going to get a broomstick. We're going to try and find some rocks. We're going Domenico with it.
That.
And then give me a tee and some wiffle balls. And then we'll get some PVC sticks. We'll get some PVCs for some warm up. No baseballs, going the same route as you. We're doubling up on plyos. We got blast motion. And yeah, I mean, if I'm in Texas for a weekend and don't have any of my stuff because Southwest lost my shit, that's how I'm rocking it with 300 in the pocket.
Yeah, and that's the great you can get all the different gadgets and stuff you want, but you really don't need much. Like you said, a broomstick and some rocks, you can get a lot of work in. You can get after it for sure. For sure.
Well, shit, man. You got any wacky question like that for me?
Um, I mean, tell me about it. I know you had the partnership announcement a little bit. Tell me a little bit about that and kind of what happens from here. It's a
Yeah,
big
man.
deal.
So, I was doing just independent instruction. I got hired on by the a different team that was just a solo team, not a part of any organization, and just was kind of going about it. And
Yeah.
they've been hiring me for their instruction. They hired me to help out with their tryout. They flew their head guy out, who kind of owns everything out in Kansas. They've got, I think it's 20 something teams out there, 300 and some players, or no, I think it's like 200 something players in the organization. But they've sent since '07 300 plus kids off to college, stuff like that. So they fly out for the tryout and kind of watch. I wasn't really planning on hopping into the mix, but one of the other coaches actually was getting emergency hernia surgery the next morning. Yeah. And goes, do you think you could throw BP? Like, I can if you need me to. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, you don't need
It's like, no, what are you talking
no,
about?
no.
And he was like, do you also mind hitting fungo? I was like, I don't have my fungo, but if someone lets me use one, like 100%, dude. What are we? Why is this even a discussion right now? So it saw me how I operated out of the little tree out,
Yeah.
little tree out, and offered me the ability to run all of their hitting infield, and then I was able to wiggle in base running instruction for the entire organization.
Ooh. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. That's sick.
So I'm
That's
pretty
awesome.
excited, man. Yeah, I don't really want to coach a team anymore, but obviously want to stay working with players and what I'm doing and stuff like that. And that's been something that I've been wanting to do. Kind of started dabbling in it not too long ago. The instruction being hired on to other organizations, and kind of panned out. So here we
Yeah,
are.
I mean that's a sweet gig. So you're kind of like a player development coordinator.
Yeah, man.
Big time.
That's,
That's a that's a LinkedIn way to say it. That's a resume way to say it. Yeah, that's a player development coordinator for a large scale team organization, and did a lot of work with a significant amount of athletes.
have you seen the LinkedIn ways to say that you're like drinking on an empty stomach and all of that?
Yeah. Those are awesome. That's
Bro.
awesome. So true. It's just like it's the same stuff you see like on Twitter all the time. Like it would be random coaches and they're talking about like the most basic stuff and making it seem like it is just so complicated. I'm like, dude, good for you. Good for you, man. Because that's honestly, it takes some creativity to come up with some of those those phrases.
uh let's see here.
Awesome, man. So you're doing infield hitting and base running.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me some base running things. All right, like 3 to 5 like must haves. Like you're laying down. You're running player development. Right, you're running the base running development. What are your key foundational points of just quality base running?
I think mostly for me, just kind of teaching them the awareness aspect of everything, which kind of sounds obvious, but in the 4 years that I've coached, I was one of the only ones I had noticed. I would not let my players retreat back to the bag if they were on base once the catcher had caught the ball until the pitcher secured it. So
Back.
just like a little thing like that, I can recall 5 different times that we ended up scoring, not even going from first to second or second to third, scoring just on the simple fact of the catcher catches it, my guy holds their secondary, catcher flicks it back to the pitcher does one of the little snags, hits off the bump, and we immediately are able to score. And so I feel like there's so many like little runs that can be gained and earned just by paying attention and knowing like when is the ball actually dead? When is the ball actually like still alive? Just little things like that a lot of people kind of put outside of their mind, I think needs to be valued in the base running aspect.
Yeah. What age group is
Uh,
this?
so these guys are going to be from
Like little
12U all the way through like 18U.
18. Okay.
Right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
right now they've got one 12U team. They have a 16U looking to build out either another 16U that would be competitive or another 15U. And then next year they're looking to try and double that. Hopefully in the next like 4 years we can try and have like one age or one team at each age group from 12 to 18 is the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's all those little things, especially at like that level. One of the things that we're working on the last couple of weeks is a like practice design blog, and kind of talking about like, hey, like you should probably think about these things when you're doing practices and stuff like that. One of the things I put, I've got kicked around putting in there is um, like talking about like especially at younger levels, like the like no bunting, like steal at this percentage, like that kind of thing. Like, yeah, it makes sense when you're using big league data, but little Tommy at 13U, like he is not a big leaguer. Like they don't play catch as well as somebody is getting paid millions of dollars to do it. Like so, the the success failure rate is far less binary. Those little things of just like hang out. You get your secondary, hang out for a second. Somebody's gonna fuck up and throw the ball away, and like it's gonna happen. Now in the big leagues, probably not. Probably not gonna happen. And the catcher's got a rocket arm behind the plate, and he's probably gonna backpick you. So maybe don't do it there, but like you're not gonna face that. So like take advantage of it when you can. Yeah, bunt, hit and run, like steal some bags, do all those little things.
You have to, man, because I feel
Yeah.
like the one of the big things that I've noticed, and another plug to Driveline, hire me with your guys' coaches certification in the youth development course. You guys really harp and kind of talk about transferable skills, I believe is what it's called, transferable data. So like the launch angle stuff, the averages, things like that, where it's like, hey, like, yes, maybe Timmy hit a pop fly when he's freaking 7U, but in 3 years when Timmy is, a little bit bigger, that pop fly that the kid barely got to is now going to be over the fence or something like that. Like those transferable skills. That is where I feel a lot of coaches, the like low hanging fruit for them is, well, just hit a ground ball because the other team can't field it, and that's how we're gonna win. Where I feel like the that's not where you need to be doing it. Where you need to be doing is like what you mentioned at 13U is learning to bunt, learning to steal. Like that's where you need to get in those like times where it's like, hey, the other team isn't very good. Let's learn how to bunt right now. But versus like saying, hey, the other team isn't very good right now. Let's hit a ground ball because we're going to get on because they can't field it. Like those are two different things.
Yeah, let's add skills and not necessarily diminish some other things for sure. And the biggest, I'm not gonna say the biggest lesson, but like that was one of the big things I learned at Lamar. Like when I got there, like one of the culture things that Buck talked about was just like we get hit by pitches. We do not move. If you throw it at us, we're gonna take our base. And it was awesome. Like it was 3-0, dude gets plunked and just doesn't move, and the dugout goes nuts, and like stuff like that. Even at the college level, like something as small as that, like led the conference in hit by pitches. Like that leads to runs, and it doesn't require anything. It's just adding another skill, and like so, whether it's 12U or college ball, like there's always those little things that you can add in to get advantages without necessarily taking away from some of the long-term development.
You have to. You have to. And that's something that I feel a lot of people, or maybe not people, but it's the low-hanging fruit. It's pretty. It's difficult to add skill. It's not difficult, and also when you don't have to necessarily always worry about the player in 2 years, like the 8U coach doesn't care if Jimmy is struggling hitting a curveball because his entire life he's been taught to get on top of it in a few years. You know what I mean?
Because at the end of the day, like the season's over. I'm trying to recruit new kids for my, select ball teams. It's like I'm not going to go market that like, hey, like this kid, he won 3 games with our 12U team, but now he's really good. Like that's just not marketable. It's marketable to go like, yeah, our 12U team won the national championship for the last 3 years. Like, great, but like none of those kids suck now. Like they're terrible 6 years later. Like it works. Like it's marketable. Like parents eat that stuff up. Little Timmy's gonna win a trophy. That's sick,
dude. I saw. I think this would be an amazing story to kind of cap the night on. Unless, I mean, like I said, I'm willing to keep rocking and rolling. But
go forever. Yeah.
This was my first time coaching, literally straight out of college, working at Bardo's, and at the time, my job at Bardo's was literally cutting grass, pulling weeds, sweeping, and cleaning the shitters. That's literally my job. I'm fucking killing it, dog. Killing it. 2 months later, I was the 3D hitting coordinator, but we'll let that be. We'll let that slide. Yeah. But at the time, right, I'm literally cleaning shit out of the toilet, and they come up to me and they're like, "Hey, we've got this 12U team. They haven't won a game all year, and this is July. Haven't won a game." They're like, "Yeah, we got this. We got this 12U team. They haven't won a game yet. Haven't won a game all year. The coaches quit, and we just need 2 people to literally be a heartbeat in the box for the next 3 tournaments." And I was like, "Yeah, do you know Sean Rooney?"
Yeah.
So me and Sean fucking were coaching this team, right?
Get out of it. Yeah,
me and Sean coaching this team, and we actually have a chance to win a game. This is our 3rd tournament I think we're in. Haven't won a game yet. We had 2 that were 1-run games. We're in our 3rd tournament of the year. And we were playing, what happened? One of their kids, they only had 9 or something. One of their kids got ejected. I don't know what he did, but they had an out slot in the up to bat at some point. So I'm sitting there. We're playing defense, and I'm doing the math. I'm trying to figure out what this situation was because I'm gonna get heat in the comments. I already know that. Whatever the situation was, whoa. They were home team. It was time limit was coming up, but we were fudge sickles. We were up by 1 with 2 outs, and they had it was we were up by 1. They had 2 outs. They had 2 batters up before they got to that out slot. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, we're gonna walk these next 2 kids.
You're gonna walk them.
We're gonna walk these 2 kids.
Take the dub home.
No, you ready for this? I did it before the time limit hit, so it forced another inning.
No.
So, but I did it on purpose because I wanted my guys to hit. I wanted them to be able to get a full inning to try and come back. So I was trying to get more at-bats for everybody.
Yeah.
So I intentionally walked these 2 kids. The other team's coach and parents were eating me alive, bro. Fucking to the point the umpire had to stop the game and give entire warning to their entire team. And I finally explained it to their coach at the end of the game. We ended up still losing and I will explain to you how we ended up losing. We ended up losing still, but dude, I had their entire parents, coaching, just roasting me because you're trying to take the game away from the boy. You're trying to. I was like, I'm actually getting him more reps, Karen. So if you don't mind piping it down. So this is how we ended up losing this game. Are you ready? We are winning by 1 run with the bases loaded and extra innings. 1-2 count. Kid fouls the ball off. It hits off my kid's mitt, hits him in the mask, pops up, and he caught it barehanded.
Holy shit.
Umpire calls foul ball.
Oh, no.
So I walked outside, I walked out, and I was like, what do you mean foul ball? And he's like, well, you can't use your hand to catch it. I go, what do you mean? And he goes, well, it was a foul ball, so you have to use your glove. And I just stared at him. And I said, can you pull this rule up? And I would have to have paid $100 to challenge the rule. To not have $100. I was literally cleaning toilets.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So I literally had to look at this man in the face, accept it, to turn around, walk back into the dugout, to have the kid that we ended up walking. Oh my gosh, that's another thing of the story. So we were supposed to have this kid on our team. He ended up deciding to not play for us, and he was a sub for the other team. And he is the one that we ended up walking to get to the last guy out. And he's the one that hit the walk-off. And so he was like big chest to me and everything like that.
I'm sure,
and I was just like looking around like, does anyone even like understand what just happened? I run to the tournament director, try and like talk to him and be like, have you ever heard of this rule? Dude, homie booked it, bro. Saw me coming from the field. We were the last game of the day. Yeah,
I'm not doing that. Yeah, I don't get paid enough to deal with that.
Bro, I was about to fight for our first win. I was going to literally fight, and we ended up getting our first win, like one more tournament or something. I don't know how I didn't know, but we got one win. One.
Hey, let's go. Put it on the belt. Let's go.
Oh shit, man! But I appreciate you coming on today, dude. I'm really looking forward to these Sundays. You got anything else for the people back home?
Nice. Appreciate you. Appreciate Chad tuning in, and we'll keep grinding these out. And we got it's baseball. We got a lot to talk about. So excited for these weekly chats.
Let's go, baby. I'm freaking pumped, dude. I'm freaking pumped. Well, it's everyone back home. Appreciate you. Strider appreciates you. Thank you guys for tuning in.